edition of our program today, Issues of the Moment. Issues of the Moment come from the stable of the Living Television. Issues of the Moment is also a current affairs program that deals with topical issues and other sundry issues as it affects our country, Nigeria, and our various states here. Today, we have our wonderful discussants you will love listening to. And also remember, you can always call in Tanita when we open our phone lines. And you remember what our lines are. That is at 091-682-884-994. 682-994. You can always call in. Give us your impression, your suggestions, or maybe questions to our discussants. All right, having said that, from my far left, I have Honorable Tony Abanyim. Honorable Tony Abanyim is a media person. Not just a media person, he is also one-time legislator in Aba North local government area and also a public affairs analyst. Honorable Tony, you're welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
Also after him, I have Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi. Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi is also a media person, political affairs analyst, and also public affairs analyst. Comrade Nnamdi, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me join. It's my pleasure.
Today, in Issues of the Moment, we'll be looking at the 2023 general election. The tension has shifted from insecurity, economic quagmire, and also unemployment. It has drifted from this area that the majority of Nigerians have been crying about to who will bail the cat? Who are we looking up to? There are three major contenders, and I think Kwankwaso is making them the fourth one now because about last week he reeled out his not just political agenda and also how he is going to, template of how he's going to govern Nigeria. These are some of the things we've been looking at, and also with other issues, other issues as it concerns this country. All right, let me start with you, Honorable. Talking about general election that is fast approaching, and there are about 18 contenders in the state from various political parties. But the most pronounced are the three, except now that Kwankwaso is coming in the line. What is your view about 2023?
Well, thanks so much for giving me the privilege again to be here. 2023 is a make or ma election, it's a make or ma year for the people of Nigeria, particularly the youth of this country that have been sidelined and pushed, to the side, that have been, relegated completely to the background, that nobody has any plan, no government, before now has any plan for our youths. That has necessitated a whole lot of evil we are seeing in the land today. It has necessitated a lot of crime that is going on, unprecedented, unthinkable, crime we are seeing in the land today because of not being programmed in the activities and plans of government, previous government, and even the ones we have now. The youths of Nigeria has been forgotten completely. We are told they are the future, they are the hope of the country, they are the hope, the leaders of tomorrow. At the end of the day, they seem to have no hope. Because if you are not in a plan, that's not how you can be part of that system. So because nobody has any plan for them, it makes this election what I can describe as should be a priority for the youth. Every youth in Nigeria should come down and x-ray the entire contestants and know exactly what we want. Because in other climes, it is all about the youths. Just like I said here some other time, I gave an adage in the post-Second World War era of Britain, England, where the former governor of Desam Bakwe told us, gave us a storyline of what happened when he went to England to study in 1948. Because of the effects of the war, nobody was interested in going to church again, particularly the youth. If you get to the Church of England, you see oldies alone. Because the life wire of every organization, the youths. Then the deacons of the Church of England thought it wise. They sat down and said, if we don't bring our children in here, this church will collapse. What do we do? Early morning every Sunday, the youths will leave for where they jump up, where they enjoy rock and roll music and all that. Then, what did they do? They said, because this thing has been an attraction to our children, even if it is immoral, even though it is unbiblical to bring in such a thing in the church. But what do we do? Are we going to allow them stay away completely? They now went and brought in rock and roll into the Church of England. 6 a.m. every Sunday morning, they'll kick off, start hitting it, rock and roll. Because the youths pay where they go to do the show, the dancing. But in the church, they don't pay. What is the sense of going there to spend your hard-earned pounds? And now in our church, it is free.
Somewhere.
So by the time you are passing by, you hear the rock and roll hitting up in the church. You have to go in there and dance it free. For a very long period, the deacons called them and said, hey youths, rock and roll is not played in the church. We brought it in to bring you back. And within that period, the other end closed down. That was how they brought back the youths, to the church. So the youths of Nigeria, it is now or never, said by Sonny Okoso. So 2023 election, for all of us also that are getting old, I'm 50. So if I'm to be a Briton or an American, I should have been talking about my retirement. So we have to also see what we can do and make a headway into our retirement. It is for everybody, not just for the youth, everybody. So that's how I see the 2023 election. Economy, security, power, job employment, revitalization of our comatose industries and all that. All of these should come, to bear.
All right. Comrade.
Yeah.
You had Honorable talking about the youth, how they were brought back to
Exactly.
And then, what do you think? Because over the years, it looks as if the Nigerian government, both federal and state, are looking the other way when it comes to youth involvement in politics
Exactly.
and even in the administration.
Exactly.
So what do you think will be done to ensure that even the youth, the way they have taken up this thing,
Yes,
it has never
exactly.
been so in this country.
Yes,
So what are we looking at for?
Okay, thank you very much. I want to commend Honorable for that wonderful background information and an anecdote he shared about what Days Amumbagwe of the Blessed Memory related to them. 2023 is a decisive year for our polity. Why? Because I speak as a historian now, because it's going to mark the 100th year after the election in Nigeria. The first election was in 1923. Following the Clifford Constitution of 1922 that introduced an elective principle. But something happened. That very election of 1923 was exclusionary. The youth did not participate. But in fact, persons who earned up, I think, £100 were those who were allowed to vote. In fact, the franchise was restricted on the property class. Those who, males too, you understand, female were not even included. Males too, and then those who earned a certain amount of money the preceding year. But something happened within the political landscape. By the time Azigi and the rest of them came back and they joined the Nigerian Youth Movement, NYM, and they were youth, they changed the polity, they changed the narrative. From seeking accommodation in the polity, they started asking for independence outright. 1923, mind you, NNDP, the party of Herbert Markle and the rest of them, were just seeking accommodation. But Aziki, many of them, they came back and they started asking for independence. So it's just about the youth who were in their 30s then. But unfortunately, today's narrative, everything has changed. There are policies unwritten that seem to be pushing the youth, you understand, out. And if you begin to talk about them, you see how much does it even take to procure or to get a form. PDP may say their presidential form for 40 million, APC may say it's 60 million, and it goes on. And again, I think I haven't said that. I think 2023 is one that is decisive. I have said it before. It's 100 year we are having election. But again, I have seen the candidates, and I think they should be judged on their own merit. I have seen their manifestos. Even the one we talked about, one person who said he will be giving us free education, free everything, free. I have seen Peter Obi's movement talking about how to leapfrog Nigeria from oil-dependent economy to fourth industrial realm economy, and even from consumption to production economy. I have seen Tinubu's 80-page manifesto talking about welfareism.
1% to 160.
Yes, that was 160. Even Peter Obi, although he came to say that was part of what we should expect. That is part of what we should expect. Not final yet. So I think if you look at it, you say the narrative is changing, and the youth should be given huge credit for this. We see that campaign has entered the streets, unlike before, in an unheard of scale. That people are beginning to volunteer for candidates they love, march to the streets, solidarity movement, even use their money. And it's allowed under the law. There's what you call third-party funding. The law is contemplative of that. Now again, even yesterday we heard that one of the candidates, Peter Obi, had a Zoom meeting with his followers. Yeah. It tells you that campaign has been taken top notch in a radical way. Yeah. So I think it's a one that is very decisive and has a lot to do going forward. Thank you.
All right. Talking about what we will be looking at for 2023.
Yes.
Tinubu has about 80-page manifesto.
Yes.
And one person from what you said is about 116. 116 pages. 3 times that of Tinubu.
Yes.
And Peter Obi also like that, and so many of them.
Yes.
That of the PDP,
others, yes.
We are not yet sure of how many pages they are. Now, are we looking out for the volume of the pages, or are we looking for the appearance, the credibility and competence of these quality of candidates that is here? Considering what Obasanjo said, that if we miss it in 2023, Nigeria will be doomed forever.
Yes, actually, the encyclopedia nature of the manifesto is not what we are looking at. But they decided to bring in this because in 2015, the APC, the party was saying the other, and Buhari was talking about another. When questions were asked about the structuring you promised us, Buhari said he never promised anybody a structure. When we talked about the change we expected, he was telling us that that is not exactly what he meant, and we've all, the man is being sincere. Actually, all he told us came to pass. He said we needed a change, and that change eventually came. Today you can see for yourself, everything has skyrocketed.
Nobody asked him the type of change.
Yeah, we are busy trying to chase away Jonathan. So at the end of the day, exactly what we wanted was what we got. The reason for this documentation is so that we can hold somebody responsible. But the voluminous nature of it is not exactly what I expected, because none of them is an alien. They all live here. None of them came from, except Peter Obi, even though he appears humble, he behaves humble, but he came from a very rich background. But it's natural. He doesn't show it, right from when he was governor and all that. The rest of them came from a very poor background. Call it Tinubu, call it Atiku, and all the rest of it. So they're all street boys. They know Nigeria one-on-one. They feel the same way we feel. They don't come from the moon. So they know exactly what a Nigeria is. What do we want? Just a matter of, restructure the entire system, restructure the civil service, restructure the police, restructure the customs, the political system, restructure the administrative system. Everything needs restructuring. We need to go back to the drawing board. A kind of what I can describe, decentralized power. See how we can look into the constitution. Is this constitution the people's constitution, or is it just something did in a hurry by the military? Can we continue this way with this constitution? A whole lot of it. Land Use Act. How can you have an oil well at your father's backyard and you can't even be a gate man in that oil company? So at the end of the day, your environment will be ravaged. You can't go to farm any longer. can't fish any longer, and when you ask questions, you're prosecuted, arrested and prosecuted. So these are reforms we need this time around. P2B, Tinubu, Atiku, and all the rest of them, they all know what we want. What is a Nigerian? Just let's take for instance in Aba here. What does an Aba businessman want? Give us good road, give us security, power. These three things. We are very industrious. If there is power in Aba, my brother, I won't just stay enjoying my AC in my room. I'll start thinking of what to do with it. And Aba man is a great thinker, a great inventor. But you don't see it anywhere. Give us good roads, security. So these are things they should, not about the volume, not about how many pages those things are. A whole lot of things needs to be touched. A whole lot of things need to be, we have to come back again to the table. We need a president that will be selfless. A president that is not going to be power drunk. A president who is not coming to fulfill an ambition. Because some of them are just putting on this manifesto because questions has been asked. But in your head, what are you coming there to do? Is it to fulfill, oh, I was a president eventually? Or are you coming to leave your footprint on the sands of time? If you are pushed, you resign and leave. That's the kind of, we don't want the kind of person that will come and say, oh, you know, if you touch, if you try, if you dare me, everybody goes down. No, we need a president, if you push him, he will resign and go. Then, among these candidates, who among them has that push?
That's one big question. Yeah. And before we come to that, comrade, talking about the quality and of candidates, shortly before we leave this topic, we are going to play on the air. We are going to show a statement by Northerner and his personal opinion about not just the Nigerian politics, about the presidential candidates. Yeah. I'm happy. Why we're going to telecast it right now is because it's from the north, the Northerner, a core Northerner, for that. So we are going to shortly after now. But before that, while they're getting ready to play that, before now, when we talk about this president, like he mentioned, some of the things, we really need for 2023. Yeah. And all these other persons are now involved. Yes. And the majority of them, they've been key players in the Nigerian politics and even governance. Yeah. And then, if they were not able to contribute to the betterment of the situation we are talking about now, how are we sure they're going to do better in 2023?
Thank you very much for that beautiful question. And I want to thank you again. You see, the issue of manifesto thing became so widespread the way it is now, simply because people in the consciousness, you understand, is rising, and people are beginning to demand more from the political class. But I want to say something. It is not to be seen in the, like you said, encyclopedic size or volume of the manifestos. It is to be seen in the content and character of the person aspiring to rule. Yeah. Their antecedents, their track record, what have they done before, and what were the results. And if you look at it clearly, you see that virtually a good number of them were of the establishment in one way or the other. But I have this to say, it reminds me of something. When Abiola was alive, he said something, and that resonates with the times we are facing now. He said the problem of Nigeria likens to a bald-head man, or likens to a coconut that will be crushed on a head. Then who will give his head? So the aspirants, they may not even appreciate the problem until they get elected. And it happened in 2015. See, the optics are there. We are not just dealing with numbers and figures. We are battling inflation of about 19%, unemployment of about 33%. You can even see it reflect in the livelihood of families. I said family or household finances have crashed to the extent that people are no longer eating 3 times a day. So anybody who comes to power must factor these things in. You understand what I'm saying now? So it's not just about trying to fulfill a particular ambition. Of course, we've seen from the even semantics, even from impliedly from certain conversations, some of these aspirants have thrown out. We've seen we've actually seen subliminal message pointing to either tribe or individual interest. But I think it should be about somebody who is selfless, who wants to put Nigeria first before themselves. And like you said, somebody who is even flexible, not someone who is rigid, who, you see, I have said about the night that that Nigerian officials are usually in power, not in office. We don't elect them into offices. We elect them into power. We want to elect people into office because office is all about accountability. Power is not about accountability. It's not about what? Subjecting people. You understand? Coercing them sometimes. We've seen a lot of this. And I can't begin to rule out. But what I think is that 2023 is a decisive moment for us. The moment when we must get it right with decision making about leadership and the recruitment is yours. So far, and I think as we go on, I'll begin to see or we will begin to say something about the manifestos, or the ones I have seen, and what I think and where I also have input to make. Thank you.
All right, let us watch and see these little.
My name is Muhammad Ibrahim.
Program, please, if you can increase the volume so that
I grew up in Kaduna and graduated from Kaduna State University. As a Hausa man from northern Nigeria, even as little children, we were taught that the Igbos are not to be trusted. We were taught that Inyamiri, which is the Igbo, was the enemy. And so, today, out of ignorance, many Hausas think Peter Obi is the enemy. After going to the university to study, I've also traveled to different parts of the country, including Igbo states. I've come to realize that the real enemy are those selfish and greedy politicians that we have. It is only hatred and individual selfishness of our political elites that made them to mislead us. Out of ignorance, we were told only to vote for our fellow northerners. They said we should only vote for people from our side, which we did. But look at the present condition that we are facing in the north. We cannot farm, we cannot visit our families in the village, we cannot even move from state to state without the fear of being kidnapped or killed.
As a concerned mother, it feels bad to know that our daughters have been raped, kidnapped, and forcibly married. Our husbands, sons, and brothers killed on daily basis.
Killed by people who are not Hausas, killed by people who are not even from our country. People that were brought into this country by our selfish and greedy politicians.
And the people that brought these killers are asking us to vote for them and vote for their parties again. This evil must stop.
And the same people that we voted from our side and our religion, they know everything about these problems and they are doing nothing about it. We the northern youths, we have decided that they cannot deceive us anymore. We are tired and we are voting for a new Nigeria. We are voting Peter Obi, we are voting Labour Party. We are voting for a new Nigeria where Inyamiri, the Igbos and the Hausas can live in the same place, marry from each other and live in peace, unity and harmony. A new Nigeria where Bayerebe, which is the Yoruba, can live among all ethnic groups in peace, unity, and progress. Since July, we have been producing videos and films promoting Peter Obi, asking Northerners to vote for Peter Obi come 2023 elections. And right now, we are running out of steam. We have produced 4 videos in Hausa targeting the grassroots Northerners because they are the ones who need to change their minds and believe that Peter Obi can be trusted.
All right, and I'm sure you heard what he said. Yeah, he said he's a graduate of one of the state northern universities, and he is from the north, a core northerner. And because of he's also the woman they show talking about how they rape their daughters and they even send their husbands, kill them, send them to their early grave and so on. And then some people are asking for their votes again. And what he said that is most touching, that these people were imported into this country, by a group of people, according to him, selfish leaders. And they have allowed them to continue doing this. And then, looking at what he said, I'm sure you heard him, Honorable. Let me start with you.
Well, very, very sympathetic. I'm very sympathetic about one young man. In fact, I wanted to, I don't know, so bad, because I followed I have my brothers living in the north, good number of them. And the stories I hear is something that is very worrisome. It's good, the youths of the north are coming up. But my problem lies in this very.
No, I want you to, whatever thing you're saying, I want you to also link it up with what he said. He said right from when they were growing, when they were toddlers, as they were growing up,
They were told not to vote for non-Northerners.
That is what I'm saying. They have seen it, they've lived with it, they've seen it all, and at the end of the day, they need nobody to tell them, they did not say to tell them, where they're heading to. They are bourgeois, they are elites, it's all about them. That was how Boko Haram came, the Yusuf and his boys, in Borno State. So what I'm trying to say is that the youths of the north, they are coming up. But my worry here is the northern area is small, over 80% rural. And on the election day, no vote is counted as an elitist vote or a graduate vote.
Yeah.
Every vote, when you put it in the ballot box, they are counted equal. Many more people are living in the rural area, even in the semi-rural areas. More uneducated people. Those that won't have this kind of thinking and conclusion are more than 80%. So, well, he said they are taking the message probably in their languages down to the grassroots, down to the villages. Good and fine. The North has suffered more of whatever thing that is going on in this country, whether I call it insecurity, whether I call it poverty, whether I call it lack of education, illiteracy, unemployment, they suffer more. But because of their religious background, because of what they were told by their clergy and all that, they are what I can call spiritual fathers and all that, religious fathers. They swallow the entire thing hook, line and sinker. But we are Republican here. Even your bishop, hardly you believe your bishop. Not to talk of traditional ruler coming to tell you what to do. Even your son in the house, you tell him what to eat. You tell him, even if there's no money in the house, he will force you to cough out what he wants to eat. Not to talk of other things about him. So let's see how it goes. But I know that win or lose, Peter Obi has made a statement. But the youth of Nigeria should also think in the same direction Tafida is thinking. Because by the time they miss it in 2023, definitely they are going to regret. But my worry here is social media and the media platforms using to do this campaign, good and fine. Yesterday I was at the INEC office, there in Abanot. I couldn't find one person. This whole publicity about going to collect PVCs and all that. My brother, I couldn't see one person. On investigation, they told me it is only 2 persons that came that of yesterday. That in the whole week, only 19 persons came to collect their PVC. You can imagine that, and we're here shouting, and the users are there shouting, organizing rallies, obedient rallies, supporting this and the other person, how their vote will count. Without having your PVC, how would that vote count? So good and fine. This kind of media approach, good. But the practical aspect of it, going to get that instrument is the issue here. So I want to tell you that the Anaboki, who is there selling cola and suya, is more electorally enlightened than a graduate in the South. So that's the issue.
All right, shortly before we go on break, comrade, I want you to compare what this young man said with the statement credited when he said the Northerners should vote for Northerners, he may not lead the Igbos and Yorubas.
Yeah.
Compare.
Yeah, I think I was even going to do that kind of evaluation, even before you said that. You even took it from me. Thank you so much. Before I even talk about Atiku, let me talk about Buhari. With due respect to him, he's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In 2011, when Buhari was campaigning, he told, I think it was either in Kano rally or where he told them that non-Muslims, that more Muslims should vote for only Muslims, and that the North should make sure that they clench or that they take power come 2011. Now we've seen it, and we actually heard it, that in certain part of the country there is this narrative that we ought to be there in power. And it also cascaded down to what we heard when we say Emilokon. I'm sorry, but then it's just a narrative out there. when you say Emilokon is my turn or Ewalokon is our turn, it's just the same thing. You understand? That people are not being primed, especially the youth, to understand the place of Nigeria in the polity or in the scheme of things, but rather to see first religion, tribe, region, and other emotional sentiments, rather than see the nation Nigeria itself. So to me, I think it is what it is. It's in the optics, and we are seeing it. When this young man said a good number of voters don't even have time to listen, or a good number of Nigerians in the electorate don't even have time to listen to the other person, or to even scrutinize or like we're saying. Try to bring together their manifesto. We just try to study, make little research about their antecedents, what they want to believe is that our person should be there, whether or not they are qualified, and that is the problem we are having in the country. So narratives like this ought to be changed, and that is why, to an extent, I'm giving it to the social media. If you see there is this wave of change sweeping across Africa. It's happening in other countries. In fact, we are beginning to see that social media is now beginning to play a role on how leaders now emerge. But that is not to say that it's going to be the be all and end all. There should also be grassroots mobilization. They type people like Aminu Kano and the rest of them did, you understand, to mobilize people. That's consciousness. I'm worried now with what Honorable said. Only 2 persons in a day. But mind you, these same persons are busy writing on internet platforms, telling you that this year we are taking it back from the establishment, from the status quo. You understand? We are not. That is, and that also explains the reason why I think from 2007 till now, we've never had an election where 50% of the registered voters came out on mass to vote. Yeah. Because many people see the card or PVC or whatever as transactional. They want to go to bank with it. They want to go to airport and check in with it. They want to do this with it. But for the political exercise of leadership recruitment and making choice, they don't care. You will see these same young ones playing football, drinking on the day of election. You understand? So to me, I think we need more awareness creation. We need to sustain. We need to even up the ante to make the youth. So far, I still give them the credit. They have done well. Thank you.
All right, wonderful viewers. We are going to go on a very short break. When we come back, issues of the moment continue. So don't go away and keep watching Living TV. I'm glad you're still there watching Living TV on your favorite program, Issues of the Moment. All right, today we are looking at amid deepening economic crisis and cash crunch in the nation, President Muhammadu Buhari is planning to spend 1.96 billion naira on new vehicles for Aso Rock.
Well, that is his own style. All the man told us when he came in. All we know Buhari to, for all we know him for. In 1983 December, when he came here as a cowboy, chased away the civilian administration of Shehu Shagari. Then 1984 he continued. We know him with Idiamo, let Idiamo to be we thought, because at the end of the day that administration was short-lived. And all of us who felt that the civilians, the politicians has cost us a lot of moral and economic and administrative damage, that these are the people that will, right the wrongs. So when Babangida came and chased them away, we all said, no, we got it wrong here. They could have been allowed to finish what they started. In 2015, he came, Jonathan was not in charge. We said, no, we need somebody to be in charge and fix this country. And this man who couldn't do it the other time, let's bring him in and see if he can do something. And the man came. And today, we are getting the opposite. We thought Buhari could have taken us to what I can describe as a conservative economic environment, where frivolous spendings and unnecessary spendings and borrowing, won't be the order of the day. But reverse is the case. We have even borrowed at the end of the day. Somebody was, I don't know whether it was a jest or comedy, that the Chinese government have established a police station in Nigeria. Because there's an extent.
The truth is that we've exceeded our borrowing limit.
That's the problem. So there's an extent you owe me. I will not try to put a guard around you to watch when you run away. So I don't know whether that is real or not. So Buhari has shown us that really in this part of the world, you don't believe a politician. But I wish somebody can come and, because we need a very conservative leader now. We need a leader that will come and do away with the 11 presidential jets. We need a leader that will come and board a commercial flight like the British Prime Minister. We need a leader that is selfish. That is selfless. A leader that will come and tell us, oh, I don't need this, I don't need the other. A leader that will come and tell us that, oh, security votes, we have billions of naira flies away at the end of every month. We don't need it any longer. We need a leader that will come and tell us that immunity clause, so that the executive governor, executive chairman, executive president won't turn himself into a demigod because of the immunity clause. We need a leader who will come and put this whole thing to the table and ask the people to decide. Not turning himself into a demigod, firing and hiring whoever he wants. That's not the kind of leader we have. So what exactly is Buhari doing with all this? A man that is above 70, heading to 80 or more. What is he doing with all this bourgeois life? What is he doing with all those? At the end of the day, Nigerian auto manufacturers will not be patronized. All of these vehicles will come from Korea and all the rest of them are there in the Western world. While Innocent is there producing cars for our neighboring West African countries. Sierra Leone invested over 2.8 billion naira there at Innocent Motors. Some of the buses they use in Sierra Leone are produced by Innocent. At Abakia there at Nnewi. Some of the official cars used in Sierra Leone are bought from Nnewi here. But tell me, the governors of the southeast, how many of them are using Innocent vehicle? The governor of Anambra State, okay, so you don't try and came in and made Innocent car his official car. So, but look at it here, where do you see it? So, we are getting the opposite of what we expected. So, 2023, let's see how God will answer our prayers and give us somebody who will definitely reset the entire thing we have here in this country.
All right, comrade,
Yeah.
talking about this still 2023 and the kind of economic quagmire that the country has seen itself into, and then also talking about Mr. President, also talking about 1.96 billion naira to change just vehicles in Nassau.
Well, it reminded me of the huge sums of billions mapped to refurbish the National Assembly complex. So we don't talk about millions when we are even budgeting, we talk about billions. And the worst is that some of these things are not even in the capital project. They are in the recurrent side of the budget, meaning that they have no meaningful reflection in either in the economy or in the life of the citizens. And it's quite unfortunate that, like Honorable said, that this is happening at a time when we expected, or at a time when a man we thought would have been more frugal came to office. And it's quite unfortunate that even debt profile and debt stock had risen. I did mention here the other day that when Jonathan came, our ways and means with our ways and means at our advancement with the CBN, the money CBN lent the federal government was stood in the neighborhood of 796 billion naira. But today we have about 20 trillion naira just within a period of 7 years. So it tells you something that yes, what Buhari told us, what we expected. Remember, I have it. I still have the tape and the record where Buhari was saying that the presidential jet fleet, that they should be concessioned. You understand that they should be concessioned, and that some of them begin to make money for the federal government. But unfortunately, this same presidential jet was used to ferry Oludemi Tinubu and the other person just to go visit the victims of flood in Kogi and elsewhere. So it tells you that we are not running a government of sincerity. If you have a budget of 20 trillion naira and the 11 trillion deficits of that budget, it means you don't have a budget of 20 trillion naira. Or it means the 20 trillion naira is not even realizable. What you have is a budget of 9 trillion naira. But we are not looking at it from this perspective. So we want to spend money, we even borrow money to pay workers, and it's happening about this time. So the best option should have been looking at these vehicles, which of them are still serviceable, than just to replace. And mind you, it's not just going to the president alone. Advisors, what have you. Anyway, these days when bandits are now beginning to dare to challenge, to even advance and even attack the presidential advanced team, maybe it's now informing they need to buy more bulletproof cars and what have you. But to me, I think this shouldn't be the best way to go, because this 1.96 billion naira can actually address many problems. You understand? So if you place it and you see that is why we keep having budgetary constraint, budgetary plague, and then setbacks. That is the reason, because we even bloat figures. We bloat figures in what we are spending, and I don't think the president is behaving well. He's living according to that ascetic life people were even ascribing to him. He should be the one to interrogate these things. You understand? And that is why many people are now beginning to accept or buy into the campaign of some of these candidates, including Somalia and P2P, who are telling you that they will not run this bloated government. You don't need it. Nigeria, we don't have money. Very soon we may be going for what they call indebted states. You understand? We may be going for that. See, we are owing IMF. We are owing World Bank. We are owing China. We are even owing now. I'm even hearing Turkey. We owe.
No, that Turkey is on the pipeline.
Yes, the
pipeline was South Korea. South Korea. Yeah. By 1980, Nigeria borrows money to give money to South Korea.
Yeah.
By 1980, Nigeria borrows money to South Korea.
Even when the war was there, remember when the government of Grenada could not pay salary of its own workers. Nigeria only paid that salary. Today we can't even pay salary again. So any government that is sensitive should know where to channel money, not to be spending.
All right, Abias, you can call our phone line, tell us who you are, where you're calling from, and also ask your question or make your contributions on 091-682-84994. 091-682-84994. All right, having said that, well, at the beginning of this discourse today, Honorable, you started with the youths, and now looking into education, we know that following intervention by the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, the 8-month strike was called off on the 14th day of October 2022. About the lecturers under the umbrella of ASU, we are surprised on Monday. A salary payment for only 18 days, only working days, while one of the agreements with Gbajabiamila was that even the days stayed at home will be paid for, and they will only paid for 18 months, which will be like 1 month. And as we speak, the ASU is planning for a National Congress meeting on Tuesday, and that is to say they are not happy. They may be going back on a strike. if this situation, academic situation in Nigeria continues this way, what do we expect in 2023?
Well, one thing that baffles me is the attitude of some of our youths to come on national TV and be campaigning for those who inflicted this deep cut injury on us. I don't understand it. Yesterday, somebody was reacting on one of the radio stations, and the person said a very emotional thing, that is it not better the trumpet sounds, let's leave this place. We are drifting towards that. Where people are young, but they are tired of this life, they are tired of this environment. And that's why if you get to I was at the immigration, about a month ago, my brother, it was like a marketplace. If you see the crowd there to purchase passports, itching to leave this country, you'll be shocked. So, ASUU, what they have to do is, I know that the problem is not yet over. Because a situation where you put a square peg in a round hole, that's what you get. I said it here without no fear of any contention. The president never saw the four walls of the university. At the time, he was asked about his credentials, and the termites ate them up. And our judiciary gave a very good, very sound judgment that he is eminently qualified without a certificate. We just what they call affidavit from the court. So it means just I can walk across there and get an affidavit from the magistrate.
It depends on your definition of a certificate. That affidavit could serve as a certificate, and besides, he said termites. Our wonderful viewers, whatever anyone says here is entirely opinion.
Yeah, no doubt.
And has nothing to do with the living.
No doubt, it's on record. When the man was asked, when the president was asked to produce his certificate.
I think the president said the document must have been carried away by the military when he was sacked.
It's as good as that. That's what I said. Yeah. So the court said, what has to do is go back to the court and get an affidavit. Makes you qualified, and it's an authority today. If you don't have a certificate, just like myself, I'll just walk across there and get one and be answering Tony Abani PhD. If you challenge me, I will head to the Supreme Court to get. So that is the problem.
Well, not like you, because I saw you in school.
Okay, thank you very much. So the Minister for Education, Adamada, is a journalist. The Minister of State for Education, I think he's a lawyer or something. None of them are, you put a square peg in a square hole. We know that before now.
Adamu apologized to Nigeria.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So that goes a long way. Yes. So to tell, what we are saying here.
Yes.
So what are we saying? That a country where people see evil coming, where wise men kept quiet, and evil is becoming a tradition. How can somebody walk? In the first place, the man that decided to implement what he was instructing, he should ask, okay, let me say the minister for those that went into that agreement, who breached the agreement, the lecturers or government. Had it been the lecturers breached the agreement that led to the strike, then you can say, no work, no pay. But you breached the agreement. They were in class, and we are waiting for you to fulfill agreements made. Government is a continuum. When it came from Jonathan, just like in the last 8 years, we are told, Jonathan messed up. By the time we come, dollar will head to $1 to $1, and everybody knows where the dollar is heading to. We are told that kerosene will get to 40 naira, fuel 16 naira, and all that. Everything will get back to where we got it wrong, and we will right the wrongs. Where are we today? So what I'm trying to say is that it is high time we start being nationalistic. We start being pan-Nigerian. We start being patriotic. We start living, a good footprint on the sands of time. We start writing our name, engraving our names on a stone, not writing on a sand.
Okay, comrade.
Yes.
Considering the angle Honorable is coming from, do we see this or judge this as one of the reasons why the academic institutions, especially the public universities, is that why they are being treated this way? Because one man went to the position with a sworn affidavit. Is that why? And what will become of Nigerian universities in 2023 with the way we are going?
Thank you very much. I think what we are seeing, personally, may have to do with the idiosyncrasy of Muhammad Buhari. His ideas, his perception of education, what education should be. But this is a man who, I wouldn't know whether that was to either educate his administration or the entire nation. He was at the United Nations General Assembly, the UNGA, 77, the 77th session of the United Nations. He said that every nation, any nation is as good as what the quality of its education. And he was talking at the time when ASU was on strike. You understand? And the Honorable here said, government is a continuum. Let us understand what actually transpired. That there was an agreement to revitalize Nigerian universities. We are talking about over 90 of them with 1.3 trillion naira. Let me even say it, that money, that fund, that sum is poor and paltry. And I will tell you that the Oxford University, Cambridge University, all these universities, you know, even the Ivy League, the money they set aside for endowment fund, the money they set aside as endowment fund, some of the universities you are to which these politicians send their children and then take pictures and flood the internet. Some of the universities have huge amount of money than that. And if we are to be sincere, that money cannot build state-of-the-art library, hostels and classrooms. I'm just saying three things. I'm not talking about water and other welfare things you see on campuses. I'm talking about the three things you need to learn: hostel, classroom, and library. You cannot build them. But then they even talk about laboratories. I have a friend during my master's day who graduated as one of the best, and went to the Netherlands to do PhD. Do you know what happened? He couldn't handle laboratory equipment there because those ones were more sophisticated than what he saw or what he used in Nigeria to run analysis.
Absolutely.
And we are talking about improving the education system, and somebody's here is playing politics with it. Even they are even trying to use the court. See, you see, what we are doing today is a judgment for tomorrow, and we don't know. So when, as you said, 1.3 trillion naira, Goodluck gave only 200 billion naira, I think in 2014, and lost the election. Buhari came. It has been back and forth. It has been either an acceptance of denial. See, for one thing, Buhari set up the committee by Jibril, headed by Jibril. From Jibril, we head of this committee under the same for one thing. Later we heard about the committee set by the Minister of Education to include vice chancellors, pro chancellors, and what have you. Before that, before that committee would visit, they now proceeded to the court to get the kind of judgment they want. And today they have also taken us back again to status quo. And the result is that likely there is also strike looming, and the education system is running down. See, it's unfortunate that when coronavirus was happening, you people, Nigerian citizens, even the president received a jab of, I think, or AstraZeneca vaccine. Where did it come from? It's called Oxford or AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine. It came from University of Oxford University. A research by Oxford University with
medical students.
With AstraZeneca pharmaceutical company produced that vaccine. At that time, our universities were on strike too. During the lockdown. So, if we continue this way, and you see that even the first lady was so, I wouldn't have the adjective to even qualify, to flaunt picture of one of the first family members who graduated with first class, or who graduated tops abroad. And at the time ASU strike was going on, we saw Governor Wike, we saw many of them. Umahi. So to me, I think in fact we have people who, even the Minister of Education, like he said, he's an educationist. Imagine Chris Ngige, who is Minister of Labour, who has been bargaining and driving the bargain between ASU and the federal government, has no training in industrial relations, has no understanding of industrial relations, has no knowledge of industrial relations, and that is why he bungled that negotiation. Today we are where we are. And anyway, I think 2023, ASU, education, economy, all these things should form basis of what should drive the narrative. Because at a time when the world is moving towards STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, Nigeria is still stuck in the second realm of industrial revolution. We can't even. We are still crawling when others are flying.
All right, some universities described the federal government as being insensitive to academic issues, especially as it concerns the universities. But let's keep that away. Let us, considering 2023, 3 serving governors are being monitored over their moves to launder stashed billions of naira through double payment of salaries. And the Economic and Financial Crime Commission is on top of the matter and monitoring these persons. The chairman said this on Thursday. Now, do we think this is one of the major reasons for the impromptu redesigning of Naira? Honorable.
Well, to the best of my knowledge, the EFCC is just one of those parastatals set up in Nigeria to get things going. Because no one has been actually, you can see the other one, Joshua Dari, is left off the hook. John Yami, his own. The man from Bayelsa, let me see, who was impeached and who ran back from London
As a woman.
And later impeached all his properties. Chelsea Hotel in Abuja, owned by him then, the EFCC through President Obasanjo, confiscated those properties. At the end of the day, we are given back to him, and he was given a state pardon. These are people that should have been in the grave if it were to be in other clients that are serious about what they're doing. But you can see what we are doing here. Because of the porous, that's why I said we need to, look into a whole lot of things. The constitution of this country is too porous, a lot of lacunas, and that makes it easier for the lawyers to get to the court and win cases that we feel, oh, this one is already in jail. Because of those lacunas, just put up a motion there and your client is free. Who has gone to jail? Peter Odele, former governor of Rivers State, went to court and obtained a perpetual injunction. It means no police, no court, no judge, no EFCC.
Forever and
ever.
Perpetual.
This man, Tinubu, you know what happened to Jonathan. He also went to court and said, oh, look at this other man. Is he sacred? You gave him this preference and you are looking my way. Why not him? Look at whoever, Amechi, nobody talked about him. And so many other of them. So, talking about monitoring governors who wants to do this and do the other one, it's just what I can call just a social exercise. Somebody told me, I don't know whether it is true, that if the staff of EFCC comes to a supermarket to, pick things in Abuja, everybody leaves. They will buy and even want to shut down the supermarket. Buy everything. A lot of money on them. You can see. So you don't bother yourself about that until we get it right. Until we restructure, we get somebody who will have the will, a lion-hearted president, to restructure the entire thing. That will bring this constitution, 1999 constitution as amended, throw it on the table. Yeah. Gentlemen, what do you do about this? Social CSOs, civil society organizations, traditional leaders, religious leaders, National Assembly, let's come to the table. If nothing is done about this constitution, I will resign. Until we have such president. And how will it come? A selfless election. A selfless voter. Don't collect money from anybody. If anybody brings money, tell him to go on the money. Let nobody collect money from anybody in 2023. Because that politician giving you that 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, and as the case may be, he's not a Father Christmas, for goodness sake. He is a businessman, he's invested. No matter how much you pray for him to die, he will not die. We were here praying for Obasanjo will die today and die tomorrow. Look at the man there. Still very strong, traveling around the world. And who is dying? Now we know. The man they can go. We are praying, oh, he went to London. He will not come back again. We know he will die there. Look at the man looking younger than you. The other day he was even stronger and moving faster than a younger governor of Imo State. So it means in Nigeria, we have committed a sacrilege. And we need to go back and ask God for forgiveness. And how do we do it? 2023. vote selflessly. Don't collect money from anybody. Use your head. If you know the man that has a practicable manifesto, not the one that is voluminous, the one you've had him talk, say, that is practical, that you can touch, vote for him. That is what will save us for this country.
All right, before we go, comrade,
yeah.
Well, considering what we're expecting in 2023 and also the redesigning, you know, that has caused a lot of chaos in the nation, even the federal minister is against it, and so many other organizations because of the timing. And then the EFCC is coming out to tell us that they have 3 governors they've been monitoring. That started billions of this time, and they now want to start okay, just talking about the governor, and they want to start paying salaries, stable salaries. You know what that means? No, not going through the process. So, what do we expect?
Well, to me, I wouldn't know what to actually expect, because what I expect is justice. You understand? But I don't know whether justice will be served because of the system we are. Mind you, the EFCC, ICPC, some of these commissions or agencies, crime fighting, regulatory or crime regulatory authorities are also tied to the office of the Attorney General of the Federation. And in most cases, we see that justice may not be holistic. I'm sorry to say this, but this is, I'm talking as a concerned Nigeria. So what the EFCC say is right. But remember also that the EFCC, since this singular announcement was made, EFCC supported, backed up the CBN, in fact swung into action that they stormed many bureaus the change. You understand? They stormed many bureaus the change, and we're making some arrests, and we are hearing, but the question is, what about prosecution? What about prosecution? Do we hear about prosecution, or does it just end there, that you arrested someone and maybe after a while the person is granted bail and the person goes and the cycle continues again? It's not just enough to say we are going into action. We are seeing 3 governors. The governors we are seeing for Ghana Lab, they have immunity and they will remain there till 2023 when the election might have been won and lost. And then at the present level, some of if their own person comes on board. So you can't do anything. We are in the system. We are people who were, even the little successes EFCC was actually able to make in the place of Daddy and the rest of them. We saw how some of the persons were actually granted pardon. They were granted pardon, and they were forgiven. You understand? Even as we speak today, some of them they are still deciding who will be who in their state. For example, in Delta State,
his body is still strong.
His body is still strong. He is a a very strong person. You can't contest for something without going to him. Even the doctor is aspiring to election in 2023. I'm not saying they don't have the right to do so. So what I'm saying is that the corruption we are even talking about is systemic, is endemic, is institutionalized. So if you are making moves, you are seeing somebody, it's beautiful. But what will happen at the end? Is where we are looking at it.
All right, wonderful viewers, what will happen at the end? What are we expecting? 2023 is by the corner. Who are we electing? And you that has been moving all about, running around for rallies and so on, do you have your PVC? It is when you arm yourself with your PVC that you have the right to speak. And remember, if you are one of the Nigerians who are going to set us back by not having your PVC, by not voting or thinking that your vote is not going to count this time around, then you'll be the enemy of the country. And having said this, we'll be coming to the end of this program, Issues of the Moment. And remember, Saturday, tomorrow is another wonderful day in Living TV Club. Also, come around our office at number 1 Judge Street opposite the Zema Police Station and make your inquiry so that you'll be part of that wonderful program. And I'm sure you will enjoy it. From my far left is Honorable Tony Abanyim. Honorable Tony Abanyim, thank you for being part of today's program.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And also, Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi, thank you for being here today.
It's always my pleasure.
And this is your command, Chinedum Adiele, signing off. Keep watching Living TV.